Hey, I'm back, here to share another tip with you. I was talking to some folks today, and we were talking about some church things, talking about some things on the inspirational tip, the world of the nonprofit. Yeah, as I continue to work for my church, I begin to see how different people respond and how different people run operations in the world of the nonprofit business like organization versus the for-profit business organization. I begin to see the differences in how they operate. And one thing that I notice in the church world that I don't see in the business world at all. Well, occasionally you'll see it. But in the church world, let's say when you deal with two separate nonprofit organizations, and let's say one is smaller than the other, well, regardless of the sizes of the organizations, what I find is that a lot of the companies, a lot of the people operating, they will tend to promote their service. They will access the people being reached through their organization, through their charitable organization. In the church world, they will act like they owe somebody something. Okay, it's almost like a preacher. It's almost a preacher coming to preach at a church, but he's coming not really accepting, or excuse me, he's coming not really expecting to be compensated for his time, or for his family that he has to support, but simply coming out of simply coming out of the fact that he owes the house preacher or the host preacher something, or just the opportunity. Like it's a national preachers organization of some sort. I'm gonna be honest with you. Doing things for other people is nice, but we've got to understand too that my phone was buzzing there. Blackberries is always buzzing. We've got to understand too that even in the nonprofit world, if we spend the majority of our time there, we've got to recoup some of that time, that energy. We've got to recoup the people that are supporting that ministry or that organization. You can't do church free. I'm gonna just tell you that now, because as joyous as it would be for the power company to accept faith and accept your sermon as funds to pay the bill, it's not gonna work like that, player. Let me let me tell you. Okay, let me tell you. They're not going. The power company, the water company, they're not going to accept faith written on a piece of paper saying, "Hey, can we get you later? Can we put 5 on it?" No, that's not gonna work. That's not good for business, and that's why smaller charitable organizations, smaller ministries, people launching out, need to count up the cost and make sure, hey, is this what I'm purposed to do? Is this what I'm called to do? You got to look at things. If you're a preacher and you have 10 kids, you got to look, okay, is where I'm going to be rendering my services at each week, is that going to support my family? Or, is my wife going to be working a full-time job, while at least for the first month, 2 months, 3 months, first year, 12 months, I don't know. I haven't taken ministry training. I don't know, but you got to count up the cost. You got to see, can you afford to do what you're venturing out to do? Okay. Where there is a vision for something, there typically should be some provision lying around somewhere, even if that provision comes from investors, people who believe in your product, people who believe in your service, people who believe in your church, people who believe in your organization. I'm here to tell you, preaching and pastoring and running a church, I have seen in my 29 years of living, that's not for me. At least not right now. I'm saying that is not my purpose. Okay, I will continue to be the sound engineer that I am called to be. And I will manage my small flock of engineers. But it's some deep waters out there when because there's tax codes you have to look at. You got to make sure, hey, if you got that 501c, if you got that nonprofit status with the IRS, your ducks better be in a row. Your paperwork better be on point. Because they could call for an audit at any time. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So don't operate like you owe somebody. If you give your word, back up your word. Contracts are the greatest way to secure relationships. If let's say you have a friend and your friend renders a certain kind of service, take the time, draw the contract. If he or she, that friend, thinks, oh, well, man, you ain't got to put us in a contract. Man, I know you good for it. No, let them know there are other variables that are weighing in on the finances. And you need this to be on paper, okay? You get your copy, they get their copy. All the people in your committee, your board, your underwriters, whoever it is, make sure that they see that contract to let them know, hey, this is what's going down. Anyways, I'm sure you probably would have approved it. The rendering of those services. But it's so important. Save those relationships. Okay. When it comes to that, don't operate in lack, because what I'm finding is that when you begin to let everybody's hand be in the basket or in the till, the cashier's till, when it comes to paying everybody at the end of the day, you're going to run out of money real quick. If you hadn't counted up the costs correctly. And unfortunately, it happens all too often where somebody's got to come out of pocket. Somebody unfairly has to come out of pocket based on the kindness of their heart. And to be honest with you, there's some people that have not purposed to give out and over and above. And you just got to understand, hey, you can't be coming up short every time. If at the end of the day you come up short where you should have made a profit, or where you should have gained excess to cover your expenses and have some savings for the next time, then somebody dropped the ball somewhere in the business plan. Okay? It's something that you got to look at. System of checks and balances. Businesses, that's why businesses are constructed of more than one person, at least in a typical business format. I mean, you have some people are self-employed, some people are self-contractors, then all they got to do is manage themselves, but nonprofit organizations, nah, if you coming in the name of anything charitable, there's got to be some folks that's going to help give the main individual some accountability, okay, so that at the end of the day, you will not come up short, you will not come up a loss, you will meet your projected budget. You will not promise anything more than what you can render. You cannot promise any more goods or services. And I'm sure somewhere in the IRS code, there's only certain goods or services that can be rendered, if any, if any. So check that out. Make sure your paperwork is right. Make sure your paperwork is tight, and you will be all right. Have a good one. All right, this is Anthony signing off.